guys, it's Michael. Welcome to Salty Will. Today we got James again because he keeps coming back. But hey, I finally got to meet you in person for the third time out in New Jersey last week.
Yeah,
How was Pro
good
Tour
seeing
for
you
you, man?
again.
Yeah, it's good seeing you. But how was Pro Tour for you? I mean,
Well, pretty overwhelming. New Jersey, not exactly the best place to go meet your mates and your friends. You don't think, let's go to New Jersey and have a fun time there. But, I only had really like a day and a half there because I was on a tight business schedule. But the time that I spent there was just ridiculous. Like the vibes were just so good. Everybody was just so positive, having so much fun, doing so many things. There was just not even enough time to even meet everybody I wanted to meet. Like we were just doing so much and having so much fun and just enjoying the event and what it is and what LSS is doing. And there was a lot of things I was shocked by, actually. Like I was thinking, maybe 1,000 people. That's cool. It's New Jersey. No one really wants to go to New Jersey. Uh, Frankly, not exactly the most beautiful place, but the venue area and all that other stuff was spot on. It was perfect. And seeing everybody there that I've met a lot of before and people I haven't met, and it was just kind of surreal. It was like it was fun. I think there's some interesting takeaways from the event that have nothing to do necessarily with like playing. I know you played in the Pro Tour, right? You played in, or not, sorry, not the Pro Tour, in the column, right?
yeah, I wasn't good enough to get into the Pro Tour.
Well,
I
Katsu is
didn't. I didn't
garbage
buy
now.
a
That's why.
PTI. Yeah. Well,
Katsu
even
trash.
even you
Sorry.
beat me the night before the calling. I'm like,
I
oh
actually
man.
was gonna play in that event, but I couldn't wake up. Like someone kicked my door like 3 a.m., so I just never got any sleep. But um, horrible accommodations for me, horrible sleep, amazing trip. Well worth it. I would gladly take no sleep and annoying hotels versus that experience, because you just can't really buy that. You can't buy that. I was shocked by the amount of non-players at this event. I was
Mhm.
like, what the hell is going on here? Like, people were from all bunch of places: Europeans, Australians, New Zealanders, Asians of all types, different countries, people from like crazy places like Spain. And like I was just taking it all in. I didn't really focus that much on meeting a lot of people. I just kind of wanted to feel the vibes as someone that's very committed to this game long term. That, like, how do I feel the health of this situation is. And I was just astounded, bro. Like it was
Yeah.
amazing. It was amazing. How'd you feel about it?
I feel fantastic. I mean, I go there from both perspectives because I want to see like there's a lot of vibe beforehand, like, oh, how big is it going to be? Is it going to sell out? Is it no one going to show?
Yeah.
And you know, I have other team members do. Like I played Seattle. We have team Seattle Salt,
Yeah.
so I had some team members come out there. A lot of other players from Seattle came out. So I have the player aspect and the collectability. We had Rudy come out and all this other stuff like that.
Yeah.
So seeing all the side events going on, Chris Ayers kept opening random boxes throughout the whole event, and crowds kept coming. So it
Yeah.
was just
That was
fun
fun.
watching the excitement. Everybody, people were buying random packs to open from the vendors as well. Some guy pulled a Rainbow Foil Command and Conquer there. So
Mm-hmm.
there's a bunch of like random stuff going on. There's so much there because you had the artists there, you had the players there, you had the vendors there, and a huge international audience. Because we both went to the Vegas and the Florida events,
Yeah.
and Vegas was great. It was a lot of fun. It was a world premiere of the Tales of Aria.
Yeah.
I don't think we really had the international audience there so much. Maybe just a few here and there because it's still just like COVID time. And then Florida was nationals, so we get to mainly experience all the people from the United States. This was an international event here. This was huge.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Honestly,
yeah,
it blew Vegas out of the water. Like it seemed to me like a double up when it came to energy, when it came to activities, when it came to how it was run. It was sold out, and I see why. There was literally no tables. I was getting kicked off tables for side events all the time. Like, I see why they did that. Like that makes sense. Obviously, you would hope that they would have more notice to that, but that's kind of a lesson learned that I hope that they employ next time they have an event, because there was a capacity. I think there might even be a fire marshal capacity that they had to adhere to. So I don't think they're trying to restrict people on purpose there. Channel Fireball, I actually think they actually have a legal situation where they can't allow unlimited people. And there's not tables for them either, right? So lesson learned, they probably should have been more forewarning about that, but I hope that they, learn from that and get polished up. I was impressed by James White. I was impressed by the level and the amount of sheer volume of singles, sealed, graded that transacted in that building over the time that I was there watching things. Definitely 7 figures of volume in like 2 days of an event. So that's pretty sick. Even I sold a little bit of my extras. Also bought some stuff too. So we did some transacting. You eliminate the shipping, you eliminate a lot of the issues that come with Europe, where they have the VAT tax and they have a bunch of stuff. People talk about that all the time. In Magic, what they have is they're basically brokers, but European like consolidators, hubs, if you will. They're like brokers for high-end Magic graded, high-end Magic singles. And what they do is they kind of help circumvent and minimize taxation on some of these bigger buyers, because they don't want to get taxed like 30-40% on buys, because some of these countries are very oppressive when it comes to that taxation. So supposedly most of the buyers of graded specifically were European and non-Americans, which is really interesting considering I know very few European collectors. I know a couple. I also know a European guy that's running an LGS that said he went from $800 a month to almost 50 grand in this month already. So basically $800 in April, 50K this month in single sales and sealed, which is really, really interesting. I also met Unhinged Magi, which was great because we've had a lot of fun online debating each other, but it really is different in person when you talk to people and actually talk about things. It's kind of like real life. You're going to have an argument with your girlfriend or your significant other. You're not going to do it over a text if it's important. You have it face to face, and important things should be discussed that way. The internet can kind of also slew and put tonalities and meanings on things that maybe people don't mean, and then you get misunderstandings. So we spoke, which was great, myself and Edwin. That was a good conversation, and we're actually like on really good terms now, all just from being face to face.
Face to face helps out so much too. Like everybody we met in person, you're from Australia, New Zealand, all these other European countries. If I get to meet them, most people got along beforehand, but just meeting in person, like, oh, this person's a lot cooler than I really thought they were, and stuff like that too.
Yeah.
And then it's nice seeing the positive reaction too. Like Unhinged Magi was like super positive after this event. Some other channels that are usually negative have been positive after this. So it's nice seeing the positivity come after this, because there's really nothing negative you can say about this event. So
I mean, I actually had a ton of fun, and I didn't even play. I brought my deck. I had it all ready. I didn't even play. I just was enjoying the event for exactly what it is. It's basically a celebration. Had something for everybody. You had artists, you had bunches of random people that I know their face from content creation, and then pros that I know from playing like in SoCal, and I know who they are, and we played together before. And then just guys like Matt Rogers and the Tariqs, the Seigels. It was great to see Rob. Rob's been in it for such a long time. I've seen his trajectory, and he's always been a good bro, and his crew, and there's just so many people. Like I would have never met any of these cool people without the game of Flesh and Blood. And then of course my boy Saint, goes without saying, he was sacrificing sealed products and just buying everything in sight like usual. But the gameplay actually was compelling too. I was watching gameplay probably 20% of the time I was there, and I was enjoying it. Watching Kano go bananas, watching Breyer take a game, watching one of my friends from SoCal who's like got in the top 64 in ProQuest, or excuse me, Pro Tour,
Hmm.
which is sick. Someone that never played any card games a year ago, never got into Magic, never played Yu-Gi-Oh or any of the other games. Just a guy that got excited about Flesh and Blood, started playing competitively, and now he's a great player. He's like a top 50, top 75 player in the world. So
Some people I
kind of
was playing
shows
with
you
were brand new as well, like 3 months. Like I was playing the
what's that
calling.
again?
Someone who beat me, unfortunately, in the calling, has only been playing for 3 months. I'm like, oh shit, well, she's playing in Israel. But
Mm-hmm.
a lot of people get excited. They're coming out from Georgia and all those other states. They're like, we just started playing, but we love it. They came out there for it. The guy who won the Pro Tour, I believe, was from Europe. Oh, he's from Europe.
Yep.
But he's a big player in Legend of Five Rings or whatever that game is. I've
Right.
heard of it, but never played it. But so there's a lot of action in Europe. Like no one knew about these guys. They come out there and they're kicking ass in the tournament. So
Yeah. One more thing to touch on the tournament itself is just the level of pro play is just compared to 1 year ago. It's like, wow, like now they're going down to all sorts of math. And then let's say your math is equal to the other math, then now you're predicting outcomes and, you're teching in your sideboard for those outcomes. So there's way more like high level gamesmanship now because there's so many more high level players. In essence, get good and everyone listened. So, yeah,
I'm seeing that out
uh,
in Seattle too. I mean,
yeah,
there's quite a few new players in the community there that's really good. Um,
yeah. People are crazy now. Like the level of thinking that goes into it now. It kind of reminds me like, not that I'm a great chess player or anything. I actually suck at the game, but chess, I've like followed it, the trajectory of history of it, and strategies were developed along the way, through the Bobby Fischer Russian eras and all the other great chess players developed strategies. I see this game as like some of those things are in this game where people are, literally mathing it out and thinking 20 moves ahead, pitch stacking, you know, watching their opponent's pitch stack and memorizing their opponent's cards, knowing what's coming and knowing how to block those pitches is like, it's a complicated dance and it's relevant, but the average player wouldn't really notice it unless they're like really trying to be a pro.
yeah, so the pitch stacking's pretty advanced and all that. I haven't kept up with it, but I watch the people in Seattle do all that stuff all the time too. And it's
Mm-hmm.
pretty amazing how complex and unique decks they get out of it. I had one
Yeah.
player playing Forge of War. No one ever plays that, but he's like, "Oh, it works on my helmet that has zero block. It does on my this and this," and he plays it. And when I was playing Katsu against him, at least he like
Yeah.
blocked up the whole turn just equipment, didn't lose anything, and then he had a full hand.
It's
Do
a
it.
it's a great it's a great piece if you're like pairing it with like a blessing of deliverance, or you're gonna play the Forge for War. Does that go again on it? I don't recall
I
exactly.
don't I don't know, but I think it's
I
like
don't think it
enters.
does. I think
Yeah.
you play it and it's done. So like you throw a blessing of deliverance out, which does have go again, and then you play Forge for War. You double aura basically that turn, and you can probably load your arsenal, maybe make a seismic surge. So like you can have an effective turn, and then you're just going to tank them with the equipment, and then you have a
Mhm.
full grip coming back around.
Yeah, that's something I hadn't seen like ever since I played this game, and people are doing
Yeah.
these new techniques. So it's pretty cool watching that evolve. But like my experience with the Pro Tour was I got in late Friday and I
Mm-hmm.
just kind of observed what was going on out there, just catching up, trying to find people I knew and all that. And then randomly ended up in a hotel lobby with like Rudy and everybody else in there, just opening boxes. Like Chris Sayers and
Mm-hmm.
Ian like brought Crucible. We all cracked it. It was fun. Like just all these random events just kind of happened on the fly, right? So
Yeah.
we're like, oh, okay, let's just go ahead and we're here. Let's crack it open. People ordered pizza. We had fun with that.
Yeah.
Um,
I eventually ended up crashing that excursion later because I got in late, like 8 that night.
yeah, I
But
saw
yeah, it
you
was
like towards the end of that. No, that was
yeah,
fun. And then
yeah. It
we just
looked
went to
like
the
a
hotel
lot of
lobby,
fun.
and you kicked my ass as Briar, unfortunately.
Got you buttered up with a couple drinks first, and then smashed you out with the Earth Briar.
Yeah, but I play enough Katsu, I should be able to play, blacked out. But
It's bad. It's bad against Briar, anyways. I don't think it'll even win ever against that deck. It's just too boomer. You're too boomer. You need more cards.
we got Uprising coming up, so
Yep.
Ninja will come back.
Yep. We'll
But
see. We'll see you soon for a rematch. Hopefully in Vegas.
oh yeah, for sure. And then Uprising, I'm not Uprising, the Calling, I went 4 and 3. I dropped at 3. The app, for whatever reason, didn't work, or maybe I was just too
Yeah.
tired. So I got a 4 and 4 officially on the tournament. But it was just
Nice.
fun. Like, so after that, I'm like, okay, I'm out of it. I don't need to stress about playing anymore. And that point, I was like, just trying to see all the side events. Even during the middle of the Calling, there's a lot of stuff going on. Saint opened up a case of Alpha.
Yeah.
I went over to open a pack. It was a lot of fun. Got to see James White. He recognized me, so I got to say hi to him briefly. I opened a pack, then he opened a pack next to me, pulled scab skins. So that was a pretty fun, memorable moment from that.
Yeah,
And
that
the
was
last
fun. I
day,
was right there. That was awesome.
yeah, and this last day, just use that as a day to catch up with everybody. You're like,
Yeah.
okay, I'm not playing. Let me just, catch up and have fun. And that's probably what I'm probably gonna do with the Uprising, not Uprising pre-release of Vegas.
Yeah.
I'm probably not gonna play into Calling at a point because it's gonna be similar meta, and maybe some banned suspensions before him. But that event, maybe I'll just do the pre-release. But there, I just want to go there, meet people, probably make some content this time, but just have a good experience. But
Yeah.
yeah, besides that, I mean, Pro Tour, I met new people that I haven't met as well either. So you have the people coming internationally, but then you also met new people. People recognized me, said hi to me, and all that. So it was just a
Right.
fun experience.
Yeah. Yeah. It was a great experience. I mean, it's, I don't socialize a lot because I'm just busy. Like I have a lot professionally going on, so I don't get out a lot. I have a girlfriend, so I don't get out that much. There's only so many hours in a day, right? But this is such a healthy hobby, to get out of the house, get out of an office, get the hell out and go into the world and meet people. Like, even if you have like anxiety or troubles with that, like I don't personally, but I do know that it's really good for the soul to go socialize. Like, it's just healthy. But for me, it's also an information gathering campaign. I want to know what's really going on with this game. How do people really feel about it? Keep taking the temperature, it's valuable. This is one of those games where being a player that knows how to play, like I know how to play. I'm at least an average to slightly above average player, but I'm never going to be a pro, but I'm a good player. I'm competent. So knowing what I know, I can better gauge what I'm going to buy, what I think's more valuable earlier before, let's say, everyone realizes that's that great. No, I'm nothing special. Like, I don't have every call in my head, but there's certain things that you can target when you understand how the game may go. You may pick those things up. There's sometimes cards that are underappreciated. Like I was buying soul food foils for $1, like Monarch. I was like, what the hell? I'll take every rainbow foil from Monarch for $1 every time. The box price is, $150. Like, that's a no-brainer buy. So like, and the card's not used yet, might never be used, but if the box price goes up, you're still gonna have very limited downside from $1. So just my 2 cents, when you're kind of a player or you're just understanding things, those two knowledge bases can really turn you into a much better collector if you like collecting.
All these cards need is triggers, essentially. So you might,
Yeah.
okay, this is not playable. I mean, just look at Levia. I don't know all her cards, but a lot of them aren't really worth much for Monarch. But if you get some brute support in the future and then she becomes a really good hero, those dollar rainbow foils might become $10, $20, $30 rainbow foils, just like that overnight.
It can happen overnight. We've seen it, right? We've seen it happen overnight, literally. Like Kraken's Aethervein doubled overnight. That was something that me and you bought a lot of before it doubled. So, hey.
Yeah, anything can happen. And same thing in like the Wizard. Like Kano was unexpected at the Pro Tour. We're like, oh, all these Kano cards got bought up. So you never know. I want to get that in a minute, but I had a thing I've been thinking about a lot lately. This keeps me up at night. No, like for example is nah, I'm just kidding. But for example, the Fable from the library from Monarch. 3,000 copies of that.
Sure.
And if a box is $150, I calculated it's about $6,000 of boxes to get a library, essentially, on average. So you open up 40 boxes, you get that.
Assuming your variance is correct. Yeah, exactly.
If you had a perfect variance, 40 boxes.
Right.
That.
Right.
Now with Uprising, let's say we get the boxes for $80 each, right? And then the Fable is 3 times as rare. Assume 120 boxes to get it. Now your cost is 9,600 to open a Fable.
Uh-huh.
So
Cool
what I
full
was thinking
Fable.
about is, okay, there's cost to open ratio, and there's just the rarity of itself. Let's say, perfect comparison world. Let's say there's still 3,000 copies of the Fable in Uprising.
Uh-huh.
How does that impact you as a collector or investor of cards, if at all, on that?
So the sealed is a dance when it's print to demand, because like I thought about three scenarios really, because my best guess, and it's just simply a guess, it has no data behind it, because LSS can and will do what they need to do as a business for what's best for them. But I'm thinking it'll be in print for at least a year. That's my thought. Let's say after that 1 year, there's a massive print run. This set is just a home run. The player base doubles in that year. Everyone's all in on it. They love it. It's so great. Well, the chase will be higher population, right? That chase will have more because more boxes have came out of the printer. You could have the mid-level situation where it's mild printing for a year, mild interest. And when I say mild interest, I mean, that's kind of subjective. You could have 500,000 boxes and it could sell slowly, or you could have, 1,000,000 boxes, which is massive interest. I'm relating it directly to previous sets, what the interest will be gauged at. So, but if you have a low interest, hey, people are off the pedal, right? And people are being really calculated about the way they're buying, and they just feel so burned because of the ups and downs of Monarch, because they didn't dollar cost average and they're not long-termers, and they wanted to flip the tendies, the typical person that never wins in life, because that usually doesn't pan out. Then you're going to find something extremely scarce at the end of that rainbow. And if that happens, which will be hard to know if it's going to happen, then at the end of that quote unquote print run over, who knows when they release the numbers? I'm assuming they probably will. Maybe 60, 90, 6 months after. I don't know. Could be a year after. But if they come out and say, well, the demand was there, but we printed 200,000 boxes, and the direct correlation of that chase equates to like 1,200 copies of the super giga ultra rare Fable, then we have a situation, and just imagine if you have an issue with print quality, like a lot of the Fables do, where they don't grade that well, and you're chasing a chase within a chase. Like library, I have a quad of it. I had to sell my left kidney for that thing. Like there's only 4 of them. There's only 5 quad eyes. Hard, I think there's like 5. Corsham, I don't know exactly how many. Better print quality. Going to be a different paradigm. Shard, I think there's like 10, 12 quads. Still not that many, considering the game's so young. But if you only have 1,200 copies of something, what is that, about Cheyenne levels? Roughly?
Shard? I think
Shard level.
Yeah.
So like, depending on the print quality will determine the grade quality. But the market is surely bigger than it was when Crew came out with 37.5K boxes, right? Let's say 200K boxes come out. The boxes almost don't matter when it comes to chase cards, as long as you correctly position them, to not be too scarce or too unscarce. Because there's a song and dance, let's face it. If you can't get one, like, sometimes it doesn't pan out. Look at Galaxy Black. No one gives a shit about Galaxy Black alt art. No one gives a shit. And it's rare as hell. And then look at Magic the Gathering, the Neon Hideku, whatever, like $3,000-$4,000. Now that could always come down. We don't know. We don't know because it's very short-term price movement. That could come down to $500. We don't know. Because honestly, who knows if that card is really just being loved for what it is, or if it's short-term speculation. You need time to age that one out, right? But my thinking is it'll be in the middle, because that's just the most conservative thing to say and the easiest prediction. But my thought is that I want to open some for sure. The chase, I like to secure it sometime when it's in print, because that would be the responsible thing to do. Because if you end up on the opposite side and it's underprinted compared to what you anticipated, then guess what? Now you're trying to catch that thing and just flying and you can't buy it. And we've all been there when we are FOMOing and we can't even find it to buy. And we're just like, we can't even buy it. Like, it's just not going to happen. It's just too out of control. So my thought as a collector is to open as much as I can to get what I want to collect out of the set, and to not wait thinking I'm going to bargain hunt at the end of the tunnel. Because if these chases come out less, or even in the middle, really less and middle scenario, the 2 out of the 3 scenarios, both of those will include, when the print run numbers come out, price movement. So you don't want to be that guy that's a collector and having to pay triple when you could have had it before and you were just stubborn because you for some reason you just thought you'd bargain hunt. But I think those 3 scenarios are going to be really interesting, and that's why, for a collector standpoint, that's why I always say you should open some product, because number one, it's fun, but number two, it's kind of a hedge against movement on singles. Like, if there's a crazy single that's like 1 in 1,000, like boxes, imagine if they print like, I don't know, not a lot, and it's like a 500 population print run. And what if it's really, really coveted? Like, you're already seeing that happen with rainbow foil E-strike, which is population 417 roughly, right?
Yeah.
That's 3 or 4K for a raw beater that you just stomped on with your boot. So you don't know if it's going to be iconic either. You don't know if it's going to be Galaxy Black 2.0. You really don't know, but you should be careful. That's what I will say. What do you think?
What I think is, like, I typically try to open all my cards myself. Like, I open 200 boxes. I got addiction, so I open like 200 boxes a set. If I do that with this one, is my odds are I'll probably get at least 1 Fable, maybe 2, depending on the variance on that. But I usually like to have 3 to 6 of cards. So that means instead of me opening all my Fables this time, or the chase cards, I'm gonna have to go out and seek them and buy them throughout the print cycle.
Yeah.
So that's how it's gonna change my approach to it. Is I'm gonna open the same amount I probably typically do, but then I'm to buy the singles I want instead of just cracking them.
Yeah.
So,
if you crack a lot, sometimes the other thing to think about too, like it happened to me in Everfest, unfortunately. Like, I opened up 20 cases and the print quality was straight trash, off centers, edges. And the problem is, like, if I can get some center one, I anticipate edges and corners, obviously. But if I have all 3 and it's just all off center everything from one source, which these were, I'm actually thinking, like, in that case, don't open the whole print run that I brought in and buy cases from someone else, because I want, like, variable. It seems like sometimes the printer gets on their thing, and when you get sequential cases, it might actually be a bad thing sometimes when the print quality is trash. From a grading standpoint, I don't want that. I don't want that at all. I want to have chances at these bigger hits in properly centered situations. Now, I know I might not always hit them. That's just part of the game. But my cases were particularly brutal, and they were all from one source. So I started buying from other sources and got some more gradable copies from, like, varying that up. So that's something I personally did. I'm not sure if you've done that before. Have you ever ran into some bad print quality on some of these sets? Like,
the Everfest Fables were all off-centered. And then the libraries, I mean, I had the lowest graded library out of anybody. I got an 8. So, but it had perfect, like, it had really horrible centering, but everything else is, like, really nice about it. So I got crazy windows. So yeah, the libraries were very off-center in general.
Yeah, I actually traded one of my 3 libraries that I pulled early for more cases, and I just held those cases. But excuse me, I did get 1 grader, which was great, and then I kept 1 just for raw. But I'm just looking forward to this set. It has so much spice from the spoilers already. I might even play Icelander. I don't even know. Like, I might switch to Wizard because she looks spicy.
I mean, she looks good, but I gotta try either Boomer Katsu, see how he improves, or change up the new guy. My thought on the Fable, though, at least the way I think about it, is either it's going to increase demand on the library and everyone realizes that's not priced right. Let's say there's equal, popularity, right? Or it's going to encourage a lot more openings of the new set to get that chase. Either stores do it, or I know a few people in my channels that open quite a bit of boxes anyways. So they're gonna encourage them to even get these bigger hits than they usually do, I think. So it's gonna encourage either more box opening. The prices will probably go up, I would think, due to how many boxes it takes to open it. I mean, just the cost to open ratio is pretty high. And
Yeah.
also, we don't know if print runs gonna be lower, higher than that, because the print runs, let's say 200,000. I mean, that's still more than Monarch. I'm assuming it's gonna be more because it's including both at once.
Right.
But nonetheless, though, it's gonna be a low population, depending if they go up to like a million or not. But if they go to a million and sell out, that's also a really good sign that the game's growing.
Yeah.
So
I'm feeling they're going to go in waves and they're going to really be very responsible. I mean, my read on James just being around him a lot during the weekend and not talking to him on purpose because I just wanted to watch what was going on. I purposely didn't even meet him purposely because I didn't want to meet him like in the event like that.
mhm.
And one day I'm sure I'll run into him and say what's up, but I more so wanted to get a read on how he was in person. You know, is this the truth? Who he's telling us in interviews? My read, and I just feel like my read is completely like validated, like times 1,000. Guy works his ass off. Um, Guy's very selfless, very humble. I'm behind his actual mission in the game itself, like bringing people together in the flesh and blood. I hate to sound cringe about it, like, whoa, it's this cringy Disney stuff, but you know, it's a good thing for people. You know, with COVID, everyone's locked down and everyone's antisocial and everybody's getting depressed more than normal, right? And getting out there might be the difference between someone killing themselves or someone that's depressed and goes down a spiral hole and does something stupid. You know, it might be the difference, the entire difference in their life. And that is meaningful to me personally, even though that meaning doesn't make me any money, that meaning is fulfilling to me, you know? And I can get behind that because it's encouraging. Another thing that we talked about, myself and Unhinged Magi actually, was that how important it is to be welcoming as a community um, to anybody that's new coming in, you know? Because Magic a lot of times was very divisive. Like when I was younger, it was, and there's many stories about it, but this is kind of like not the financial part of it, but it's very healthy as a game if we can maintain that type of attitude, you know, throughout. I had just nothing but positive interactions all weekend, even with people that I didn't even like. But after the weekend, like we were good. Like we like each other now. Like that's
Yeah,
what it takes. So
and that's what these events are for too. Like everybody migrated from all over the world to Pro Tour
yeah,
and met each other, played games,
yeah.
socialized, and did all that stuff. It's fantastic.
It's just healthy, man. It's just healthy to talk to people face to face, look them in the eye. I mean, there's a reason why, like in my courses of doing business throughout my career, like everything is more effective in person. It's always more effective in person because they feel you. They know you're not full of it. They know you're genuine. They can sense you. Like you can't get all those things over the internet very well. So, you know, it's just a healthy thing. And I really appreciate what he is doing because frankly, it goes against the grain. Everyone says automate, automate, automate nowadays, AI, everything, you know, no human interaction ever because it's expensive. But he's doing the exact opposite of what is profitable, but in the end can be profitable if he keeps this movement up. So cheers to James White. Love what he's doing. I feel more a part of this community than Magic when I played Magic as a kid for many, many years. And, you know, I never went to events in Magic. I was just a casual player, but this community I feel like I'm a part of, but also I just love playing. I love the people I've met. It's just like a social circle as well as just enjoying the game and playing great games, like he says. So pretty much all I got in the event.
Well, the one thing I forgot to bring up is that, they had the typical two cosplayers they had before. I think they had one more
Mm-hmm.
maybe, but we had quite a big turnout of fan cosplayers come out.
Insane.
Yeah,
Insane.
I was very surprised by that. I think there was like
I was
10 or so.
shocked.
Yeah,
I was shocked by the amount of non-players that were there. Had to be like a third of the event was non-players. Like, what the hell? Like, I didn't expect that. And you know, they're not all from New Jersey because there's not that many people that are, you know, fabbers in New Jersey. Maybe some are from New York, but and the surrounding states, I'm sure. But I talked to a lot of them. A lot of them aren't even from the US. Like, and there's people that are from across the country. And I mean, you name it, they're from almost everywhere. So that was encouraging to me. Um, just the love. I mean, I was shocked by the amount of good vibration in the room. Like, it just was worth the trip to me, you know, and I would do it again in a heartbeat.
I wonder how they're gonna change events after this, if at all, because this thing sold out. So I don't know if
Vegas,
yeah.
Vegas is Team Blitz, and I'm actually going to play in it.
Oh, nice. Are you gonna
Hopefully, I'll
play
wake
Briar
up this
still?
time.
You
Huh?
still play as Briar?
Probably not. I'll figure something out. I can't reveal it since I'm going to be in the top 8. I can't say it here.
Yeah, it's top
I
secret.
mean the bottom 8. Sorry, bottom 8.
You're at least top or bottom. You're in the 8 crowd.
It's not going to be pretty, bro. But I'm going to try. So.
So we're talking about super rare foils the other day. You opened a case of Arcane this weekend, right? Or last weekend?
Yeah. I opened a case of Arcane 2 days ago. Basically, I have PTSD from it. I only got 2 super rare foils in 4 boxes from an Arcane case. And I remember exactly the pull rates of the other 2 cases I've opened over the last 1 year. And there was only 2 super rares in each of those cases, rainbow foils. And the 8 loose that I've opened, I also remember all those. And they all had, it was a 50-50. Only 4 of them had super rare foils, 4 of them that did not. So I'm saying to myself, there's a estimator of super rare foil in Arcane Rising First, stating that it's 3, I believe, in that estimate.
Mm-hmm.
I actually got to disagree. I don't think I can run that poorly to get that exact average. And I went online and watched a bunch of boxes, and I noticed it was pretty close. So my thinking is it's probably a better thing to estimate 2.5 or 2.25, but probably 2.5 is safe. I've never heard of a case with 4 super rare foils. So I got to conclude that we might actually be overestimating super rare foils in Arcane, at least in Arcane. But if they're the same as WTR, which a lot of people say so, I mean, I would say they probably are, then you're probably looking at more like 2.5 per case, which makes the population of super rare foils in the 600s instead of the 800s, which makes them a lot more rare than anybody thought. And LSS has never said what the actual rarity is. So we are just trying to figure it out. But 20 boxes is not a small sample size, you know, 5 is, but I'm in shock that maybe that's incorrect. Pretty sure it's incorrect.
Well, I've been looking at super rares too, not based off rarity, but just off the prices. Some of them are like 50, 60, 70, 100. Some go 150, whatever, depending on their
Yeah.
popularity, and all
Yeah.
other aspects too. But someone was like trying to hunt the other day for a rare sigil, a Solus, pink one. He used to put a buy offer for $75. The lowest he could buy it for was 100.
Yep.
Like, okay, some of these rares are going for 100. Super rares are anything under 100 seems like really cheap to me. And then I was also looking at the history packs. Not necessarily buying those, but I was trying to see what was not in them and see what's going on with that. Since I play Akatsu, I was like, all right, well, I didn't see Hurricane Technique in there. So if you want to be a ninja and play that line, you could never have a white. You can have a checkered deck essentially.
Right.
So you need to buy the black border of that. So it made me think like, okay, those super rares might be a good pickup like that too. A few other ones like Aetherize is not there either. And there was a big buyout after Kano did pretty well in the tournament.
Yeah, I mean, I bought some Aetherizes. There's no, it's not like that was hidden. I mean, I basically said, what's up with Aetherize? And I put some buys that I was buying it, but I only bought some. Like whenever I buy, I don't buy them all usually, unless there's only like 4. But, you know, it only affects instants, but now we're getting more wizards. And if you see a wizard versus wizard, there may be some instances that apply to it. You know, it really is the only counter spell in the game right now. So before, when there was only 1 wizard and not a lot of instants on the card pool, then it wasn't really relevant. But it has to be relevant eventually. There has to be an instant that matters eventually. So I remember too opening like 40 cases of crew that it was very short printed. I barely got any of those foil. So the crew one's going to be out of reach for everybody that's pimping decks. So in essence, the only way to pimp is crew unlimited, which I didn't have a position in. So I decided to buy a position because of that.
Yeah, it makes
So
sense. Other people are buying it too, from what I was chatting with. Because I mean, I was busy playing, so I didn't get
yeah,
to partake in this fun activity of buying Aetherize. But
I told you after.
yeah, Dick. Um, but a lot of other people are buying it too, right?
Yeah.
So it's kind of interesting because that's not in the history packs too. So
Yep.
so it's also interesting. So look at the history packs, look at the cards that are not in there. Can those things become relevant in the future? And if so, it
Yep.
might be a good idea to pick up a position, at least non-foil black or foil.
Yeah. I mean, listen, you don't even have to go bananas on things. Like sometimes it's
Mhm.
just like get 5 copies or something, like it's not even about like having to buy like 100 copies and make thousands of dollars. Like sometimes it's just, it's not only fun, but if they're super cheap, your downside's pretty minimal on rainbow foil majestics anyways. Like it's not going to go to zero and you're at $1. So your loss is $1 per card. Big position there. It's
Well,
like
I was
if you
reading
buy 5,
lately.
it's $5.
I mean, I read an
Shit.
article lately. You just got to put $75 in, and you can make a buyout.
That's not a buyout.
I know.
I that article was pretty funny, but I mean, I guess it represents it in a micro perspective, but
Yeah.
a buyout at that level, you're kind of not taking much home. You're taking pennies home because then you have to ship it all and you have to get liquidity for it. Like there's more to the story than just buying it and selling it. Like you have to factor in the actual shipping, the time that it's going to take for you to sell it all. You can't just throw it all on TCG Player. It doesn't necessarily just move. It's going to take time to maintain that and pack it and ship it and do all of that. So, your upside needs to be more significant to offset that time constraint. So, but
Oh,
it's just a
that's a
fun thing
lot
to
of
do.
time to manage the smaller cards.
It's a lot of time to manage a lot of cards. I didn't realize it, but I guess when I got back into like collecting in 2020, January, I went hard into Magic Vintage and now Flesh and Blood at later that year. And yeah, let's just say that I basically have an LGS and I didn't want one. Like, it's just too much cardboard. But hey, all the players in SoCal get all the cards they need. Usually, a lot of times I give them to them or give them super cheap, and the bulk is just flowing like it's like a stream. You could swim in the bulk. So, and I'm sure you have the same thing because you open probably just as much or even probably more than I open. So,
I got a lot of these shelves in my apartment. It's really
yeah,
helpful.
I try to get rid of the bulk because listen, like if it can be put to use, great. I don't like to throw it away because I just don't believe in that wastage.
Yeah, I agree.
I just feel like it's just a disrespect thing. Like, look, I have some bulk here right next to me right now. This is bulk ever, and I just keep them. I put them in 800s, and I wait for them. I remember selling crew bulk. I had a good bit of crew bulk one, and I sold for like $3,000. That's not worthless, I have a lot of alpha bulk, a lot of arc bulk, so and I'll keep that for a long time. So, I'm always going to keep some bulk just because it's probably a little bit smart. I opened them for a map, so why not? The other thing I wanted to say real quick too is that in new sets, another thing, don't underestimate the ability for collectors and people in general to love art of one card and get hyped and excited to buy that shit. Because there are sometimes things in markets that don't make any sense at all. You could have, like, imagine Hexagore, right? Complete garbage right now. No one
Yeah.
gives a shit about that card. What if there was some crazy art on there that everybody loved? It would not be 40 or 50 bucks or 35 bucks, whatever it is, a dumpster fire for a Monarch box. It would be 500 bucks because cult followers would buy it. It's the same thing that happens with like Birds of Paradise and Magic, Vesuvian Doppelganger, a couple things that come to mind. Library of Alexandria, there's a crazy collector that has like 29 fives. And so you can't even get a 9.5 for less than like 20 grand. It's something crazy. So like that happens. Is Sarah Angel too?
Mhm.
And Magic, another cult following behind it. People buy the hell out of that card. So don't underestimate the fact that art can just come out. People love it and they go after it. Cheyenne is probably the best representation of it so far, but there can be others. And to be frank, I wouldn't underestimate that. Sometimes people just like cards. Footsteps too. I think people like it a little bit. I know you do. You're a
Yeah,
foot
I
guy.
like the
So
yeah, I like the footsteps. Can't have enough of those. I
But
guess the last thing
the
that comes
art
to
is
my mind
compelling
with
sometimes.
the last thing comes to my mind with really uprising.
Uh-huh.
Some of these concerns been brought up, like, okay, well, what if someone decides to buy out all the rainbow foils and gold foils of the set? They're like, okay, well, then there's nothing else.
Yeah, there's nothing else. I mean, that's why print to demand's kind of a way to stop that from 100% being effective, because unless it's at the end of the run, unless it's say out of print and someone comes in and wipes it, well, then either A, more supply will come to the market to fulfill that before it goes crazy, or B, it's really like it just got disappeared. So um, we're still in a small game. Like, bigger players can come and disrupt this market quite easily, actually. It's still a small market and movement is crazy, specifically on like thin assets like Rainbow Foil Majestics from the first two sets, where you can't even find half of those to even buy. Like, you have to like know John who knows Bob, who's gonna, see you at high noon behind the bar to sell you one, because he keeps it in his sock 24/7. Like, it's just like impossible to find. So anytime I see one of those that I think is under, I always buy it. Like, I just bought a Blazing Aether recently, Rainbow Full M, and because I think the art is super compelling there, and I know the population of it basically, and I'm comfortable buying that under $500. So, what about yourself? What do you target when it comes to the first two sets?
Everything, to be honest. I mean, I like that Blazing Aether too. I picked up one, I think, a week or two before you. But I like that one actually has the flavor text on it. So that's a
Flavor
good one.
text and the dragons are more pronounced with the
Yeah.
flames, which I
But
love.
I mainly buy right now if I see a good deal, for
Yeah.
example. So like I have a good amount of everything. So if
Yeah.
I find something that someone fire sales, I missed a really good deal on a heart the other day, unfortunately.
Uh-huh.
I think we're all
So did I, dude. So did everybody, because
yeah.
that's not the real price of a heart, and we all know that, because I literally can get on a 45-person phone call right now, and all of them would PayPal that amount. So you'd have 45 buyers.
Yeah, I woke up and like someone talking about this heart. I'm like, holy shit. So that's something I would snap by right away, right? So if something's like under market value, yeah.
Instantly snap that. I would snap that instantly.
I bought a bunch of cases of Monarch this week, like 11
Uh-huh.
cases, because someone was selling them
Nice.
under market value.
Nice.
And
Why
an
not?
excuse to open more boxes. So,
Well, you're a crack addict. We need to send you to a rehab program for crack. So,
yeah.
but you
But
need to really chill out. You're gonna have so much bulk, you won't even be able to get out of your house. So,
yeah, I think I might get a bigger place.
Jesus.
Just for my bulk.
So, I was thinking too, like, about the way that they're gonna use the scarcity proposition in uprising, and I was listening to some things that were said by like Rudy and others that talk with James, and I was also around a lot of conversations that are not on video. So there's definitely going to be some surprises in this set. James is just a savage when it comes to keeping things close to the chest, though. Like, even if I was his best friend and I literally was his like godfather to his daughter or something, or if he has kids, I don't know 100%, but yeah, I think he has a kid, but he still wouldn't tell me those details, because he's just like so secretive about that stuff. And I love it. I love it because maybe you can drop some seeds, in person, like he did to some people. Even at the opening, he was dropping some alpha, like not alpha cards, but some data that no one was realizing was relevant. So I appreciate that. If you're listening, you use your two ears and you understand the subtle art of nuance, wink, wink, nod, nodding, then you can anticipate what's going on to a degree. But I think there's going to be some things in this set that are not listed, and they may be just super chases. I'm feeling like there might be a 1 in 500, or maybe a 1 in 1,000 alt art, something like that, or maybe even a 1 in 10,000, which could be just ridiculous. And remember, it's not like he hasn't done this gamesmanship type stuff before. The very first set, no one knew the heart existed till it got pulled out of a box and someone said it did. They didn't even acknowledge its existence. So I would not put that past him at all. And that makes me excited.
I wouldn't be surprised if they made changes between different waves. add in a little spice.
Me either.
Yeah.
And who knows what that could be? They might have a plan for it. They might say, well, we're going to put them really rare in the beginning because we don't know how much we're printing. And we have like a ceiling of what we want to hit. Anything below that, we won. Like, let's say the ceiling is like 2,500 fables. Okay. Just as a number. I don't know that. I don't know anything about their, yeah, hypothetical. I wish I knew all that. I would make so many other decisions, but it's better I don't, because it's just integrity based. Like, it's good that the thing about secrets is once one or two people know, then everyone tends to know. So James is right in not spilling that stuff. He has a tight knit team. You can tell they're extremely tight. I spent a lot of time with Chris, who's their lead designer, like maybe almost an hour talking with him. Great guy. A lot of data talked about, which is good. But I just like the way that he's just conducting business. This makes sense. It reminds me of the Prestige, where it's like a lifestyle. He's committed to his role, and he's going all in on James White, the man, the CEO of the company. And that is who he is. He is not 1% off of that role. That was my read on the situation. And I have a lot more respect for him now than I did before. I had some respect, but when you see it in action, you just appreciate it, because it takes monk-like discipline to be like that all the time. It's really difficult. It drains you. You have to be so fully committed to always be on like that, and not slip, and be really like smart about how you drop details so as not to drop too much. He's like almost like a spy.
Yeah, because he knows all the information.
It.
Can't everybody wants it from him? He can't share it,
but he still shares it. He just doesn't share 95% of it. He shares like 5% to kindle your appetite and make you feel like you got something out of the conversation. But he can't tell you directly, or can't tell you exactly. But pretty much every read that I've seen off his interviews, he doesn't BS. And that I like. That I like a lot. But
he also leaves you wanting more.
Yes.
He'll release a little bit of information in January, and then a little bit more, and he's like Fab 2.0. And you're like, okay, I need another interview from him. When is that going to come? You know? So like he has a lot of this like hype building. Everyone gets excited about stuff like that too.
No one's appreciating as much of the journey that he's taken us on. It's a creative business, card playing, socialized adventure. And we're all just belted onto the ride. And I feel comfortable with him in the driver's seat. To me, he is the number one factor in LSS's success, period. If the game was to lose him, it would be the most catastrophic loss. But having him is a huge advantage. I would say he's probably the best CEO in TCGs right now. Definitely not the other CEOs are. They're more traditional non-creators. None of these CEOs that I've seen out there, other than there are some startups with CEOs, but I still put him above them. But I'm talking more of the established ones. They mostly have guys that are like, they're like optimizing the already huge machine, right? He's building and optimizing at the same time. And there's going to be growing pains and more tough things to face when you're growing. Like, that's the hardest part. I've grown businesses. I know how hard it is. You're up late at night and you wonder if you fail. You wonder if tomorrow you have to fire everybody. You know, it's no joke. It's hard. It takes balls. It takes gumption. It takes willpower. It takes someone special to get Fab to where it is now. So for me, I'm very confident in the future, not just from a lot of the things I heard, but just from the vibrations in the room. It's unlike anything I've ever felt on a TCG event. And if we can keep duplicating that and getting more people involved along the way, it's a runaway train. You can't stop it, bro.
Definitely. I mean, I didn't really talk to James White, was there? I didn't really talk to Alan, but I talked to Chris.
Didn't say one word to him. I didn't, on purpose.
I gave James a shirt when I walked by.
Well, you're a known entity. I'm just a guy that grades cards, but
I got to talk to Chris for a little bit too, and he made me feel really confident. in that.
Chris and
game
Alan are
design.
both great. I
Mhm.
learned a lot about their history talking to both of them at the booth.
Mhm.
Alan's hilarious. But Chris is definitely like, he was watching all of us open packs, and
Yep.
you just see a look on his face. He's like, what the hell did we create? Like, this is sick. Like, you could just see the gears churning. Like, you could feel his vibe. He was just like, this is unbelievable. Like, let's try not to look too excited, but you could see his gears churning. Like, damn, like, what's going on here? All these people love this game. Like, this is sick. So,
They had a very professional but hidden smirk, like little subtle smirks of excitement
yeah,
at the same time. Yeah.
yeah. And they all know a lot of guys that we've conducted business with. So, like, we know them indirectly so well. Like, Sam Smith, shout out Sam Smith.
Mhm.
Sam, when I first saw Sam online like a couple years ago, I thought he was just a complete asshole. He still is one, but now he's a friend who's an asshole, just like me. So, but Sam and I have like grown on each other, and I love that he's very direct, and he's also honest in business. If he sells a card, he's going to ship it. So
Yep. No, Sam's a good
that
guy.
I
I
love,
mean, I've done a lot
and
of.
you've done a ton of business with him.
Oh, definitely. And it was his birthday the other day, so happy birthday, Sam.
Mm-hmm. Shout out Sam Smith. Shout out Chris. Shout out Alan. Appreciate all you guys do. But
Yeah.
yeah, just an amazing event. I look forward to more, bro. I look forward to being in Vegas. You going to Vegas?
I'm going to do my best. I think there's a family reunion right now at the same time, but I want to be in
Looks
Vegas
like you need a
because
new family.
we're like, yeah. No, right. But I plan on going to Vegas though. I don't want to miss it. It's gonna be a fantastic event.
Yeah, yeah. Sick event, bro. Don't worry, I'll get all the promos and sell them to you at 6 times market with a, and then I'll get the signature and sell it for 20 times market like everybody else is doing.
I hate it when people do that. I'm like, okay,
Yeah, I
hey, can you
was
sign this for me? And some guy tried selling a alpha box that was signed by James White.
that's the one that we gave away for free. That was Saints box, and he just took it for free and like wanted to sell it. It's like, man, that's not the point here. Like, you're supposed to enjoy these things. So
Yeah, that kind of
and
hurts me too. Like, hey, someone went out of their way, gave you this as a gift,
yeah,
got it signed by James White,
for free,
and
by the way, for
next day
free.
you're
Like,
selling it. I'm like,
I've actually sold an alpha box for $100 before in the past. Like,
yeah.
the cardboard, the
Oh, the box
cardboard,
itself. Yeah.
the box itself, $100.
I wish I
So,
kept all my empty boxes then.
well, what I got around Arc One here. I got them all around still, but I mostly keep them for myself because like a lot of Magic boxes age really well too, and they're pristine. They're really not that easy to get, honestly. So
No, I agree. I mean,
in
I
Magic,
didn't
there's
keep
actually
mine, but I
box
should have.
collectors. There's actually box collectors,
And then
and like,
Bronson collects packs.
yeah, believe it or not. Okay, so this is a set called Arabian Nights in Magic.
Yeah.
That box is almost $3,000. The cardboard portion
Oh wow.
today, $3,000 for the cardboard. The box itself is like $300K now. So, but without the cardboard and plastic, $3,000. So like, hey, I'm long on the game anyways. I have a little space. Why not hold on to them? But got
There's a
any
collector
closing
for
thoughts? I
everything.
mean, Jesus, what a journey, bro.
Yeah, I'm excited, but there's a collector for everything, as we're just talking about. Like,
There is. Don't underestimate it. Like, cardboard boxes, man.
I need to start keeping all mine then. I'm just gonna make a whole vault.
Well, not now. You're too late, buddy. Maybe your cruise, your Monarchs. I don't know, bro. Do you have 20 years?
Nah, I'm not gonna keep that long. I mean, maybe I'll donate to someone, but I don't want to hold on to them that long. I like the singles more than the
Yeah.
boxes, but there's
So
only so
I'll
much
give you
room.
my,
There's only so much room.
I'll give you my concluding thought, and then you give me yours.
Yeah.
Majestic foils from the first two sets. You should buy yours now, otherwise there won't be one to buy from anybody. And I'm seeing a lot of lowballing on the market on legendaries from the first two sets, which is bullish because a lot of them don't get filled because there's nobody to sell to them.
Yeah.
And I like that. But if you're collecting the first two and you intend to keep a position of the first two, basically you should be accumulating hard right now because there's only so many, and there are active buyers that black hole these cards. They don't have all day to go after the ones and twosies, but there are some collectors out there that they are literally disappearing these cards. So if you don't have them now, I recommend you try to accumulate them ASAP. Otherwise, you just won't have an opportunity. That's my final thought.
Yeah, my final thought's similar to that, except pick up the rainbow foils and black border of cards that are not in history packs. Watch the history
Yes.
packs, see what's out there, either a limited or first edition. Get those rainbow foils, especially if you think they're gonna be playable, or if they're not playable now, do they have a chance of being playable in the future? Get them because you're not gonna get them in history pack, which means they may or may not. There's no evidence, but they may or may not be printed again in the future. Same
Yep.
thing with fables. The
Yep.
heart, shard, eye, they're not in history pack. Will they be in there in the future? Who knows?
The eye was in a Starvo deck. So in the Pro Tour,
Yeah,
obviously fables can be relevant. So
they're playable and they might be useful. Well, hey,
yep.
James, nice seeing you last week. Nice talking to you again right now.
Good talking to you, bro. You have a good night.
You too,
Later.
man.